Welcome back to the Becoming Your Best Version podcast. I am your host, Maria Leonard Olson. I'm a civil litigation attorney in Washington, D.C., a podcaster, a journalist, author, and TEDx speaker. If you want to learn more about me, go to marialeonardolson.com. I would appreciate likes on my TEDx talks. There are links on the website. And please subscribe to and review this podcast so that it will be seen by more people who can learn from these amazing women that I interview every week. I started this podcast 5 years ago because my work in the realm of women in midlife has brought me into contact with amazing women who have inspired me and I think will inspire you. So today, joining us from the West Coast is Eileen Noyes. She's an author, speaker, mentor, podcast host at the Unsidelined Life, and founder of Lady Bellator. She lives in California with her husband and 8 of their combined 15 children. Eileen journeyed through the limelight as a former pro athlete's wife in the public eye, escaped cult involvement, established single motherhood to 8 children, and is now remarried and spearheading the Lady Bellator movement, helping women lost in the shuffle of family life find their identity, their voice, and their sense of purpose once again. In her books, Rise Up, Lady Bellator, Sidelined No More, Broken Chapters, and her podcast, The Unsidelined Life, Eileen shares her passion, her wisdom, and life lessons to bring a message of hope, of God's redemption, faithfulness, and power. Through her authorship, mentoring, and podcast hosting, Eileen is lifting women, other Lady Bellators, to move past their limiting beliefs, fears, and insecurities so they too can live in the fullness of who they're meant to be. You can learn more and follow Eileen at theunsidelineDlife.com. Listen to her podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube. And she's on all the social medias. And all of this is in the show notes. Welcome, Eileen.
Hi, Maria. Thanks for having me.
So, first, tell us about your life as a former pro athlete's wife.
Oh gosh, where can I start? Well, that was a 9-year stint in that world. It was a 16-year marriage. So let's see. I before that, just kind of a background. I grew up in California. I ended up working at San Diego State. I worked with all these athletes, so I loved it. So this is, what, 3 or 4 years before joining the NFL. And so my ex actually was a football player there. So that's what happened. So anyways, like I said, I worked with a bunch of athletes and I loved it. That was my home. I felt like I had purpose. It was a full-time job. Actually, it was a full-time job that just opened up. So I kind of spearheaded. It went from intern to, kind of just, part-time. And so I was able to open up that position. But right when it opened up, that's when I decided to get married. So he got drafted to Green Bay. He was out there for a year and then I joined him. And so I say that to say that, life kind of was put on pause. That's what you do as an NFL or as a pro athlete wife. You pretty much kind of put things on hold. And there's, gosh, in a sense, it's like single wife life. It's stepping into your life. Like I said, I had I mean, I dealt with a bunch of people every day to literally just knowing my spouse. So it was just night and day, sunny California, cold Wisconsin, knowing a bunch of people, not knowing anybody. And, there's just a lot of different pressures and different things that it looks all glitz and glamour. And there's definitely fun times. But one of my books that you had mentioned, Sideline No More, that was to the pro athlete wives because there's in a sense a suffering in silence because there's stress and there's different things that people don't understand. And so I wanted to make sure that those women, especially the younger ones, had an outlet and someone who understands them. So that book talks about, and so it answers your question. It talks about losing yourself in the mix of that. It talks about the dynamics of the relationship, the competition, not only with other groupies and other women, but the competition of everybody loving up on him and praising him. And he comes home to you and you have to say, hey, can you take out the trash? Or, things like that. So there's that dynamics, there's family expectations, money issues. I talk about how I had a shopping addiction because I lost my purpose. And then I talk about that transition out of the game, which is really hard. Again, not just for, her and her role and identity, but it really is a place of the men coming to this, like, who am I now? So it's a hard dynamics, which unfortunately was contributing to the fact I know you had mentioned the cult involvement thing. After we got done, about 7 years after we got done, he has started following this teaching that basically was saying that women weren't created in the image of God, and women's purpose was really just to cook, clean, and have babies, and outside of that, really nothing else. So a total different shift in where our marriage was. And again, this is after 7 of our 8 kids. And so, yeah, so there's a lot. I'm totally jumping ahead, but there's a lot in that, in the sense that, yeah, life completely changed for me. And all this, with how crazy it was, all this in the public eye. So it wasn't even anything I could keep private or keep to myself or find a way to deal with this, low key. It was really on the open for, at least in small town Green Bay, everybody knew and everybody was watching. So it was definitely a hard dynamic.
So what does he think about your book and your life work?
Well, we don't talk. I know that he knows. So, in it's such a deep thing that there's a lot of toxic stuff in there. He doesn't talk to the kids. He felt that I was I wasn't following God anymore. So the way that it turns is that he felt that he had to choose his family or God. So he followed God. That's what that's what he's taught. So in stepping away, there's really not much of a relationship at all with the kids. So yeah, so I don't talk to him. What does he think? I know that he's read my book, and this is kind of, indirect. Um, and in writing it, I will say this, that I wanted, one, I had to make sure that legally, as you know, like that I didn't do anything to put myself in a position where he could, say something that I was doing something wrong or I was in sort of violation. And so my heart anyway is to state the facts, have it be more about me and my situation and my perception or my experience. And so my heart is not ever, I mean, he's always going to be my kid's father. So I don't really want to bash at all anyway.
Mhm.
I've forgiven him. And really it's been my protocol to just honor God, honor him as their father and kind of keep it at that. But unfortunately, no, there's not conversation there.
Is he still in the cult that you described?
Yes, I can't even I if you look at all things, it does look like a cult. I mean, I call it an organization. So it
Mhm.
is if you look at history, yes, like the leader of this organization was part of it was called RG Stare, and it was definitely this man prior to this leader. He was affiliated to a cult. This man, R.G. Stare, went to jail because of different things. He's now passed away, but there's definitely a connection. So there is definitely cult situation kind of thing. But is he still in it? Yes, he is in it, and they operate with multiple wives, things like that. So concubines. I mean, all things that you just think are like either one on a Lifetime movie or two just something way in like the Bible times or something. So it was pretty weird. I mean, I'm talking from a place of 7 years removed. So you're talking to a very calm, person who's been able to heal. But that was not easy going through something like that. 7 years ago, having to navigate, like I said, my seven. I didn't even know I was pregnant with number eight when all this was going on. So,
Wow.
and he's this
And
number eight.
yeah. And your kids don't see their dad at all now?
Unfortunately, no, no.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And I think seven of the eight are boys, yes?
Yes. And my number seven is a girl. And so yeah, so my kids range from seven. The biggest gap is 4 years. So it's seven, my girl's 11, and then from there, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 22.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's
I
a
just
lot.
can't imagine. And how long were you a single mom before you remarried or repartnered?
Um, it was about it was 4 years. It's crazy because I thought I was 4 years without anybody, just on my own. But I did meet my new husband in 2020. So I was about 2.5 years of no relationship, nothing. I didn't have time. I wasn't bitter toward, because people ask me, how are you going to start dating? I'm like, I don't have time. I'm not bitter toward men. I gotta, just get my bearings. And so it was about 2.5, 3 years of single mom life without anybody.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Amazing. And then did you and your second husband have kids together?
Unfortunately, no, we're both
Yeah.
older. That department doesn't work. So he
Okay.
would love to. So he has seven of his own, as
Oh,
you said. His range from 13 to 30. So we already have kids in the mix, so that would be super weird if
yeah.
we had one. And like I said, if I was younger, I mean, he wants to, and if I was younger, I totally would. But yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is, I'll be like completely real. Before we never, like, I always, not always, but like in the first marriage, it was, hey, let's have as many kids as we want. And so I never did anything to take precautions to stop a pregnancy. And so this time around, as we talked about it, and like I said, I think, oh gosh, it was like 40, 49, something like that. And we were just thinking, okay, reality is we'd love to have kids, but we're too old. And so I didn't want to go on the pill or anything like that. And I did I guess what the rhythm method is what you call it. I didn't realize because I never had to worry about it before. I thought the best time to do it so that you don't get pregnant is after your period, but that's prime time to get pregnant. So apparently, we joke around like our parts don't work. We never got pregnant, even though we are putting ourselves in a position like Russian roulette. Like, oh man, we're taking risk here, but yeah. So
Yeah,
no,
I
no
think
babies.
technically it's a time of ovulation, which I think is t for most people 2 weeks
Okay, yeah,
after, but in any event. So it looks like faith is a big part of your life and
yes, absolutely.
perspective. And are you Filipina as well?
Yes, I am. I
Yeah,
am.
as am I. And so I was raised Catholic. Are you Catholic
I
then?
was raised Catholic.
Yeah.
Um, it's transition from there that. Gosh, when I was at the college, when I worked at San Diego State, I really came down to this. I had always had a conscience of God. No one had to tell me to go to church. I loved going to church. And but I found myself when I was actually going to college and then after working out of college, I found myself trying to do the right thing, but always getting in the wrong thing. I was very promiscuous. I was, drinking, doing all those things. And I wanted to get right.
Mhm.
And it really came down to, I think it was my second year at San Diego State. And here, mind you, I am, I'm in this situation where I'm dealing with a bunch of college kids and trying to be professional in a man's world. But what I was doing was I was young then, and I was looking at these girls as kind of the competition and as the guys as my potential prey, but undercover. And so that's what I was doing, but going, gosh, I like get right. Like this is so not good. Like this is your job on the line. And, long story short, I really started seeking God and it just became deeper to where the rules weren't about rules. It was, Me, like I said, I slept around and things like that. And I actually was invited to a Bible study, which I thought was super weird at the time. Like, Bible study, what's that? And I went, and it coincidentally was on sex, love, and intimacy. And so for the first time, I was going, oh my gosh, like God is saying, I don't want you to do that because I want more for you. I don't want you to hurt yourself. I love you. And so it just kind of came from a whole different perspective. And I started pursuing that as he was pursuing me. And so it just became deeper to where it wasn't about the denomination. I started going to a non-denominational church, but it just, God became more real to
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
And thank God for that, that in going through something as deep and as an intense as I did, I really had to learn to hear his voice. I mean, we're talking personally, like, God, do I leave? Do I stay? All these well-intended people are kind of trying to give me advice, but I need to hear your voice above all. And so he was faithful to that for sure. And as crazy as it is, I have no regrets. I feel that my relationship with him is so much stronger, that me as a woman, me as a wife and a mom comes through with a closer connection to God, so that as a wife, I'm a better helper. So with my kids, I can love them and parent them like how God parents me. And I can also stand in the gap in prayer, with encouragement, with wisdom that I didn't have prior to really having a close relationship with God. So.
Hmm. So I've been looking around on your website and the Unsidelined Life, and you, I was struck by this one entry, 5 strategies for raising sons in a seductive world, how to be the
Mhm.
mom they'd like to follow. Can you summarize your point, your takeaway from that entry?
Oh gosh, I don't remember the five points, but one I know I may hit them. One, it starts with the relationship. Again, I want to parent like how God parents me. So relationship is a part of that. So if I'm not hitting all the points, but the points that I can think of is this: transparency with me talking to them is huge, because kids look at parents, we've all been there. We don't realize that our parents had a life prior to the family. And so for me to be having age appropriate conversations with them, to open up with my own vulnerability, allows them to know, what, mom is a safe place. So one, I want to do that. Two, for sure, praying for them, um, having creating an environment where they can talk to me. I want them to know, look, I am for you. I want to cheer you on. I want to help you navigate through life. So there's a friendship, but there's because you are still a parent, but there's a place of transparency and a way where I can invite them, that I'm approachable and that I'm not going to freak out. Because that's the big thing, is like, freaking out with your kids, that they go, oh, I don't want to talk to her again. So I'm not sure. Gosh, yeah, you may have
Okay.
to remember the points,
Yeah,
but
that's good. That's good.
yeah, that's really, it's very relational.
So tell us what Lady Bellator is and how you came to use that in your work.
Yes, Lady Bellator came from as I was looking into the whole branding and different things and different ideas of like who do I want to represent. Um, Someone told me, Eileen, you're like a contending matriarch. And at first, that word matriarch, it rubbed me wrong, because in my first marriage, matriarch was almost kind of synonymous with what's that word? That not feminine. Oh, what is it called? Starts with an F. Um, what am I? Gosh, can you
In
here? It
any
starts.
event, a Bellator is a warrior, but I'm
Yeah,
not sure where that word came from. Is it from the Bible?
it's no, it's Latin.
Okay.
So, or sorry, yeah, it's Latin. So yeah, so feminist. That's what I was talking about.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, what is this? What is it mean? Anyways, matriarch and the whole Bellator piece is me understanding that I was being told, you're a fighting mom. You're a woman of wisdom. And so in looking at that, I was like, okay, well, how can I say that? Contending matriarch sounds so blah, anyways. And so I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I felt like God said, "Look up warrior" in Latin. And so Bellator was that piece. I wake up, wake up in the morning. I'm telling my husband, "Hey, what do you think about that?" And he says, "Well, hey, what about Lady Bellator?" And so that just sounded cute to me. But as I was like, getting more into it, I felt like God was saying, okay, this is what lady means. She's not just a woman, but she's royalty. So lady represents the authority and the identity that we have in God. And then the Bellator piece is the warrior, the spiritual one. She's the one that contends for her family. She contends for her marriage. She contends for all women who have to get their voice back. And that's because I know for me, that's what was happening is I was losing my voice. I was losing my identity. And I know I'm not the only one in that situation. So for me, not just the extreme cases, which there very much are, I think every mom, wife kind of there's a season or more where she just loses herself and she neglects herself and she kind of downplays her role. And if when she does that, she's not showing up powerfully as the helper who her husband needs, as the mom that she should be. And so when there's an inward internal place where there's not healing, then we all lose out. She loses out. Her family loses out. The impact that she's supposed to make is diminished. And so that's what I want to do. Is like let her rise up again to see, whoa, I am stronger, and not for the pride aspect, but it's I'm needed. I have a role. And so for her to take pride in that, she'll show up differently.
So do you do any individual coaching, or your work is more through your speaking and writing?
I just started. It's been in the works. It's so funny that you asked. It's been in the works. And I just started opening it up last week. So I've got my first official client because this is all stuff that I've done, in groups or mentoring. But I just started last week. So right now I'm opening up a 90-day coaching experience, and it's cleaning house, spirit, soul, and body. And so I'm getting, it's actually like kind of like a case study where I'm looking for women who are going to do it now, kind of proactively before the holidays, so that I'm walking with her pre pre holidays, during holidays, and post. And so I love that I get to do that aspect of the body. So I definitely have a fitness background, but it's been a while because it was specifically to athletes and their sports. But that general fitness is there. And so the women that I'm working with is kind of that my age, or it's like, how do we incorporate you working out back into this? So again, it's really the concept of this, and this is what God gave me over the summer. It is when I'm talking about cleaning a house, it's so crazy because he had me literally clean my house, and he had me go through this process. And really it was this: Eileen, you have to address the messes, heal from those messes. After you address the mess, we're going to start creating order and function. And then when you get to there, then you're going to go into those maintenance places where now you know what it looks like. You want it to look like that. And so here I'm going through this house process as he's saying, did you see where I had you start? I mean, it was literally like a process where it's like, go to the places that are neglected, that you're pretending that aren't there, that you're, totally just wanting to avoid. Go to those places. And then as you do that, we're going to develop systems. So in every area, whether he said this, I mean, I'm not just talking about the home. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about your spirit. I'm talking about your emotions. So if you go through this process of addressing the mess, creating orders and functions, and then getting to the maintenance, it hits on every area, whether your finances or relationships or a relationship with God, or whatever, with your body. For me, I actually had to have hip surgery. I didn't know I did. I knew my hip hurt, and I would push through and work out. I had to finally, because it bugged me so much, I had to finally address the mess. I had to get hip surgery.
Mhm.
After healing from hip surgery, then I was able to work out, so the order and function, so then I was finally able to lose the weight and like work out consistently. And now if I'm eating bad, it's just like, okay, like all it is as I'm in maintenance mode, it's just different tweaks here and there. And so that is the program that I want to do. And I want to do it proactively so that A woman is not one, if she's stressing out during the holidays, I want to catch that so that we can deal with that. And two, if, it's just one example, I'd rather us deal with weight now versus after the new year. Hey, let's lose the 10 that we gained from the holidays as well as, the rest. So yes, I'm really excited about that.
So, since so much of your work is inspired by your faith, can people work with you even if they don't share your faith?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like my target would probably be a women of faith,
Uh-huh.
but there's definitely principles of not having that faith that are there. It is really the same thing. It's just addressing the messes. I think I would say that it's definitely for me, a big part of it is knowing your identity and where are you anchoring to. So I think there has to be some sort of source or foundation that gets you back to, for me, the thing that got me through was um, in the hardest times. My anchor was God and His Word, and it was to pray. So it's either I was bitter and took vengeance or pray. So there's an opposing thing. It was praying for Him, being thankful, not complaining. I mean, those things are natural. Our flesh wants to do that. So I mean, it would be very challenging. I would probably, and I've done it before. I think there's a way of, just, challenging people. Like, where are you in regards to your faith? Where is your anchor? And so I think that me having my faith, it definitely allowed me to do the right thing and to do things that I didn't want to do that in that moment were hard. But after that time, it was like, gosh, thank God I handled it the way I did because I would have played victim. I would have, it would have carried over to the kids if I chose to be bitter, if I chose to be, unforgiving. I think that would have been a completely different scenario all the way around if I didn't have my anchor of God and His Word.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I know you have several books, and books are like children for me, but can you say which one is your favorite right now?
You know what? My favorite is actually the one I'm working on right now.
Okay, what's
It's
the
not even out
topic?
yet. It's actually in the Bible. So there's a chapter in the Bible in the book of Proverbs. So Proverbs is a book of wisdom, but there's one particular chapter, which is the last chapter, and it is about the virtuous woman. And so it's such a big thing for me. I remember the first time I read it when I was married, and this woman, it talks about all the things that she does. I mean, she's making her own clothes. She's, out in the wee hours of the night selling things. She's a good wife. I mean, every way she took care of things. And I remember the first time I read it, I was thinking, I would never. She's like, I was thinking, I don't want to read this again because I could never live up to this woman. But now, me at my 50s, I'm realizing the principles in there are things that, like, I am her. You are her. It's just going to show up differently in each situation, each family. And so I love that it's not like testimonial in a sense, like the other books are my life experiences. And yes, these are my life experiences, but it's actually starting from this, like verse 1, for example, it says, this is the chapter. It is written by King Lemuel, influenced by his mom. It's a simple, short sentence, but to me, I'm thinking, wow, this king is writing this whole chapter because his mom influenced him. And so right there it shows, wow, God has positioned us to have impact. And so this whole thing is actually the equal to Lady Bellator. So Lady Bellator and Proverbs 31, they both talk about this. One as a daughter of God, two as a bride, three as the mom, and four as the impact maker outside of the home. It's all in there, and so that's what I'm working on. I'm about halfway through. So I'm
Hmm.
hoping by the spring, by the summer, it'll be out. But yeah, that is the one that's probably near and dear just because, I mean, they all are, of course,
Yeah.
but it is really me having to go, okay, taking like, I mean, one verse says she's like a merchant ship. And I'm thinking, okay, what could I do that with that? But like to see actually this is what happened. I'll tell you real quick. When that verse came, it says she's like a merchant ship getting her food from afar. I'm thinking, okay, like how much can I write about that? Well, it happened to be that I went all the way at that time to Colombia. So as I'm writing this one, or as this one came up, I happened to be going to Colombia. I actually was able to see merchant ships and how they looked, and that whole trip, because of what I went there for, was actually healing. So I had to go through my own retreat and had to go through some healing. It was like, wow, a merchant ship is strong, it's steady, it can endure and go through the waves. And so God was saying, you, woman, are like that. I'm telling you that you're the strong, resilient one, that waves can come, storms can come, and you're strong and sturdy. And you're the one that is that anchor in the home. You're the one that gets food, not only food physically, but food spiritually. And so this little sentence expanded to a whole devotional going, wow, I never thought that. So all these, it's been a really fun experience to go, okay, take this and make this out of it. So
Right, great. Well, there's a lot to unpack here, but I do try to keep these to a half hour, and I'd love to ask you the question I ask all of my guests. What do you do to become your best version, Eileen?
oh, I can't deny it. I have to look to the one who made me and to know who I am in him. And he tells me that I'm loved. He tells me that I'm valued. He tells me that he created me for a purpose. And so that's really where it starts. Everything flows from there.
Okay, so let's go a little deeper. What does that mean to you that you look to him? Are you saying through prayer, through
Through prayer.
meditation?
So, okay, so practically speaking, me knowing who I am, I think that insecurities as a woman always comes, right? And so there are times in the season where I can go, gosh, why isn't it happening for me like it's happening for her? Or, I'm working really hard and I'm doing the right things, but there's a comparison thing that we do, or is a way of disqualifying ourselves. Like for me, I could say, well, I've never worked before, so who am I to go on this place? Or I'm divorced now, so there's those things that hinder us from living out our purpose. But when I remember, okay, wait, God, you're the one who created me. If you created me for a purpose and you love me, then I know that you say you have plans for me. And so I don't need to compare because you created that person to do that thing. You created me to do this. And so you're laying out everything. And if you have this for me, where you guide me, you're going to provide for me, whether that's finances or the wisdom I need or the clients that I'm looking for. So it allows me to just to rest and not believe in the lies where, because a lot of us, we can get so consumed with these lies and we don't know that they're lies that we just do nothing. And so this pushes me forward because there's definitely times where I go, this whole like entrepreneurship thing and stepping out, this is hard. I think I just want to stay home as a mom,
Yeah.
But I know that like what I've experienced and what I've gone through, I know that I could have just easily go, okay, I'm done. Like, thank God I got over it. But I know that women need that. I hear it. And so for me, I'm motivated to to have what I experience and what I've been comforted with so that I can do the same for others. Because, like I said, a woman is there quiet when someone needs her voice, whether it's her husband or her kids or someone outside of the home.
All right. Well, that is beautiful. Thank you for sharing. You're a very strong woman to raise 8 children by yourself and to use your experience to help so many people through the many different things that you do. My gosh. So go to the unsidelinedlife.com or ladybellator.com and watch what she's doing. She's really an inspiration. So thank you, Eileen, for being with
Thank
us
you
today.
so much. Thank you.